Hello, friends of Studio Brule. This is Steve Brule, and it is coffee time. A time where I go over some of the stuff that's come across my desk in the last few days, and it's been quite a few days. And first, I'll welcome some of the regulars to the show here. Thank you so much for joining us again. Horror Cocktail and Psyops and Socks and quite a few other there's. I apologize if I don't get all your names right. The last week or so, I'd say the last month, every day there's so many things, topics to come up that it's overwhelming. I hardly know what topic to pick to even look at anymore. And I've got several projects that I've committed to completing. One for the International Men's International Conference on Men's Issues that's coming up online. I hope you all join it digitally, organized out of the UK by Mike Buchanan. I'm committed to contributing a video for that. And also for the 21 convention in Orlando, Florida, the same time. I'm trying to get there. The international travel right now is really tough to do. I'm a little concerned about that, whether I get someplace and can't get back. They're changing the rules all the time. I don't know. But I've got several topics on the go for that. And even with those items, it's hard to pick a topic amongst the crazy, nonstop, infinite numbers of subjects that keep coming up, and each of them seeming as important or more important than the last. So this topic I'm going to be talking about today is by no stretch the most important thing that's coming across my desk, and I'm going to touch base on a few of the ones I haven't had time to touch on. I'm just going to show you some articles I think are worth reading. This one I decided to touch on only because it came up today, and I really got to get back to doing something on these shows. So as you see, I'm a VIP Club member of the Patriarchy, so authorized to comment on all the evil comings and going of the evil feminist empire, which stretches its thousands of tentacles all the way around the globe and in every human institution in the modern world. That is the state we're at there. So without further ado, let me get straight to the topic today, which is our new victim category in law, which is associate criminal. If you're a criminal associate or an associate criminal, somehow that gives you victim status. And then when we look closely at each of the so-called heroes of the Black Lives Matter movement, it appears that these are far from upstanding citizens in every single case. What is it about propping up basically criminals and using them as martyrs and heroes and role models? This is crazy. Okay. I'm just going to ignore this nose. I don't even know what makeup below your nose means. What am I going to do? Makeup below my nose? I don't know what you have to say about that, old ranger. But anyways, let me get straight to some of the stories here. This is the one that I decided I'm going to just quickly go over. And I'm going to go over quite a few of the, this article is by CNN, and this is before the article I'm going to talk about. This is the background for the next article, which I am going to talk about, which deals with the so-called victims who just so happen to be in cahoots with murderous criminals in many cases. So CNN talking about Brianna, I can't remember how to spell it. It'll be in the article. Breonna Taylor. And she was tragically shot by police some months ago, I think. And so CNN's putting out their version of the facts on this. So let's have a look for the background here. This was printed July 23rd, about 6 weeks ago at this point. A key miscalculation by officers contributed to the tragic death of Breonna Taylor. I'm not a big fan of CNN, obviously, but let's have a look at what they say. In the early hours of March 13th, police in Louisville, Kentucky, arrested a suspected crack cocaine dealer by the name of Jamarcus Glover. All right. Sounds like they're doing their job there. Reading from the top with me, police said Glover used Taylor's residence as his current home address as of February 20th. Check of various online computer databases and had been receiving mail there, a 3-page affidavit for a search warrant written by Detective Joshua C. Janes states. Okay, so the police legitimately believed that he was living at Taylor's house. Let's read on. Reading from the top. Detective Joshua C. Janes states, the detective said he saw Glover walk directly into Taylor's apartment in mid-January and leave a short time later with a package. He then drove straight to a known drug house, Janes states. Taylor's car, the detective noted, had been seen parked outside another alleged drug house linked to Glover on different occasions. The affidavit did not document any activity regarding Taylor or her residence in March. But there's definitely a connection there. Walker told investigators he heard banging at the door. Walker is Taylor's new boyfriend. Now keep in mind that this woman had been dating this Jamarcus Glover fellow who is a known drug dealer that the police were off after. So Walker told investigators he heard banging at the door after midnight, and his first thought was that it was Glover. He said he knew Taylor had dated the accused drug dealer during their on and off 7-year relationship. He was concerned there might be trouble. He reached for his gun. This is how dangerous her ex-boyfriend must be, because apart from being a drug dealer, and most drug dealers are some dangerous types of guys, this guy knew the ex-boyfriend enough to know that he better reach for his gun just in case that was Glover at the door. So the first thing that comes to my mind, and I'm going to get into this a bit later, but why is she dating a dangerous drug dealer? She's, by all accounts, is and was an upstanding citizen with a good job and no need to be hanging around with drug dealers. But she did. And many of us will know this from the men's movement, that there is a tendency of women to gravitate towards these dumbasses, these drug dealers, these petty thugs. What it is about some of these women's nature is really, really incredibly stupid and deserves some analysis. But look, right out of the gate, if you're going to hang around with dangerous drug dealers, you might get caught up in a shootout. That's what can happen when you hang around dangerous drug dealers. And that shootout may or may not involve the police. But the risk of being involved in some kind of shootout goes up quite dramatically if your friends and boyfriends and lovers and the people you invite to your home are dangerous drug dealers. Now, I know feminists will say, oh, don't teach me to stay away from dangerous drug dealers. Teach dangerous drug dealers and the people who are out to kill them to not kill me. That's what feminists will say. And the bald stupidity of the feminist approach in all of these things is self-evident. So let's read on here. Where's my little cursor? Here we go. This is Glover, the drug dealer. And that's all I've got to say about that. So this is the backdrop of this next article. And this next article is telling us, it's trying to tell us, this article is going to try to convince us that it's a tragedy that we need to start focusing on women who are killed by police. Because apparently, the fact that 20 times, more than 20 times as many men are killed by police doesn't seem to warrant the greater attention given to that in feminist minds. We're supposed to now create victims out of women who are inadvertently or advertently shot by police. Let's have a look at that article. Here we go. Now, I saw this on Facebook. It's from Washington Post. No surprise there that it's feminist based. Reading from the top, the fatal shooting of Breonna Taylor brought into focus an often overlooked but consistent subset of people fatally shot by police, women. Well, a consistent subject. I mean, come on. The police shoot men or women. That's it. Men or women. And in fact, the most consistent subject is men. In fact, when it comes to unarmed subjects or unarmed suspects, it is white men who are overwhelmingly shot by the police, not black men, contrary to Black Lives Matter and those hypocritical bigots that joined that movement. Reading from the bottom here, the title of the Washington Post, nearly 250 women have been fatally shot by police since 2015. 2015 is 5 years ago. That means 50 women per year, roughly speaking. And here's the headline online. I didn't read you the author's title there, but we can skip. Oh, here they are. Here are the authors. And I often wonder, why is it that Washington Post and feminist organizations, none of them seem to be able to write an article with their own name on it? They got to put 3 names on, because not one of them wants to be called to attention for owning the words they print. This is what it generally means in an article. This is not like a research paper that took 20 years to come out and a lot of collaboration. It's an article about women who are shot. Cannot one person write it in their own words and take responsibility for their own opinion? No, apparently not. So, reading from the middle here, after Louisville, police fatally shot 26-year-old Breonna Taylor during a nighttime raid at her home in March. Her killing could have been just another in a long line of deadly police shootings of women that have drawn little publicity. And they go on to say that it drew publicity. It got attention only because she was shot around the time of George Floyd and some other guy, I forget his name. Reading from the top, since the Washington Post began tracking fatal shootings by police in 2015, officers fatally shot 247 women out of the more than 5,600 people killed overall. Okay, no mention of men. 5,600 people is 5,353 men. 5,000. Is it too hard for them to write 5,353 men? No, it's not that hard. Okay, sharpen your pencils there, girls. 5,353 men. 20 times the number of women shot in that period. But of course, let's have a look at the details. The Post found only one other fatal shooting that closely matched Taylor's case. Okay, only one in 5 years. Okay, now let's keep in mind here that the police are human beings, and they are going into these situations where they're highly charged, highly emotional, where they have to make split-second decisions under stressful circumstances, and those decisions can be life and death decisions. And they've made only one similar error in 5 years. One. I'd say we should be celebrating that as a massive success, because in any stressful situation like that, to come out with so few tragedies is actually quite commendable. But anyways, I digress. The Post found only one similar. A black woman, unarmed, killed during a raid at home while a boyfriend shot at police. I mean, really, you shouldn't have to say anything more than that, okay? A black woman, unarmed, okay, so what? Killed during a raid while a boyfriend shot at police. What kind of boyfriends are these girls having? Like, some common sense here, girls. Now, but 139 other cases shared one or more circumstances in which Taylor was killed. All right. Of the 247 women fatally shot, 48 were black and 7 of those were unarmed. Only 7 out of the 5,000 and something criminals, dangerous criminals, being apprehended by police who have their girlfriends hanging around them, and only 7. Yeah, I'm not saying it's a good thing that 7 were killed, but I suspect that the police go to an enormous self-control to try not to kill anybody or injure or even arrest or hurt anyone who is not connected to the criminal activity that they're interested in. But these women are choosing to sleep with, to bring their thugs, dangerous thugs. They are choosing to go out in public with, to sleep with, to have dangerous thugs come to their house, to have dangerous thugs go use their cars, use their mailing address. I mean, do they have not one single brain cell amongst them? That's number one. But there is more to all of this story. Let's read further. Reading from the top. Since 2015, Black women have accounted for less than 1% of the overall fatal shootings in cases where race was known. Less than 1%. But within this subset, Black women, who are 13% of the female population, account for 20% of the women shot and killed and 28% of the unarmed deaths. But keep in mind that Black men, even though being 18% of, or rather 12% of the US population, I think it could be 13%, they represent over 50% of the violent crimes committed that police are looking for, over 50%. And these women, I would wager that the majority of these women shot and killed, these Black women, were associated with criminals, known, violent, dangerous thugs. You take your risk. Look, if you're going to hang around in a war zone, you might get caught by a stray bullet. So sane people don't seek out a war zone. Is it really that hard to understand? No, it's not. It's dead easy. Don't try to tell me they're victims. They sought out this dangerous situation and they got caught. That's tragic enough, but the stupidity began long before the police showed up, lady. The stupidity began when you started to bang around with thugs and murderers. Reading from the top. Black men, 12% of the male population, make up 27% of the men shot and 36% of the unarmed deaths. And yet they make up more than 50% of the violent crime. Look, we're not going to get to the bottom of any of this crap unless we're honest about what's going on here. Reading on. Walker fired one shot with a gun he legally possessed. Why does that even matter here? He fired a gun at police. But typical of the Washington Post, they're trying to make this guy out to be innocent. He shot at police, striking an officer in the leg. The officers returned fire and Taylor, an emergency room technician, was struck 5 times. Taylor, unfortunately, in my opinion, is paying the biggest price for what amounts to a stupid decision of getting involved with a violent thug in the first place. Other ladies out there shouldn't be told that they are victims. They should be told that these ladies, these women, who are inadvertently killed for one way or another, either by the thugs in their lives or the policemen who are looking for those thugs, they made a really stupid, bad decision and they paid a huge price for it. That, if we tell women that, we'd be doing them a favor. We'd be helping them avoid spending time with dangerous thugs. If they continue to spend time with dangerous thugs, you know what? These statistics are not going to go anywhere down. They're going to go stay the same or go up. And they may go up because of the fact that the government now seems to be, I think, will be urged to crack down on these dangerous thugs, which means there's going to be more police encounters, which means there are going to be more mistakes made. And there's going to be more women who choose to live off of the crimes of these dangerous thugs. You know, and here's something that people don't really want to admit either in polite society, okay? These women banging these dangerous thugs are profiting off it. These dangerous thugs are robbing, stealing, murdering, and they're giving money to their girlfriends. That's why their girlfriends are with them. I said this a long time ago. If we really wanted to get rid of organized crime and clamp down on these dangerous thugs and these drug dealer idiots, we need to prosecute their girlfriends to the same extent as we prosecute them. Any woman who's living with a organized crime criminal or a dangerous thug drug dealer who gets caught by police should be hauled in and given the same charge or some equivalent charge. And there is a precedent for this. It's not as if we aren't doing this already. We have a crime of living off the avails of prostitution. These pimps, they aren't committing prostitution. They're profiting from prostitution. And these women who want to be girlfriends and wives of dangerous drug dealers and organized criminals are living off of the avails of the crime and drug criminal. So we should have a charge that carries similar sentences. The charge of living off the avails of criminal activity, and it should be targeted to those women who choose to live with dangerous thugs. And that the effect of this will be that women will think 100 times over before they'll get involved with these dangerous thug, drugging, murdering idiots. And these dangerous drug running, murderous idiots would stop doing that and look for a real job, because that's one of the things they're really after, is banging women. And if women won't bang them because they're drug dealers, they'll stop being a drug dealer. An awful lot of them. I'm not saying that all of them will stop. But look, organized criminals couldn't find a date or a girlfriend or a wife because they're an organized crime. They'd get out of organized crime and they'd open up coffee shops and cafes and salons and internet companies. That's what they do, because we're really interested in girls. That's why they want the money. Now, some of it is to do with just plain old power, for sure. But look, prosecute these women. They're involved. They know what's going on. They're helping and abating those crimes, and they're getting off scot-free. The police don't even touch that subject. If a regular man was helping and hiding a criminal, a known criminal, he'd be charged. But these guys' girlfriends walk away scot-free with nothing. So that there should be changed right away. Prosecute their girlfriends along with them. Let's read on here. Crenshaw said, black women's deaths also may be dismissed as collateral damage if they are killed while police are pursuing someone else. 20 of 247 women were killed in that kind of situation, analysis shows. In 12 of those 20 shootings, police said women were caught in crossfire or accidentally shot. Okay. Well, I'm sure there's the same or more number of men who were accidentally shot in crossfire too. What can you do about that? This is a fact, is that police work is a very difficult, dangerous, and error-prone, not error-prone, but it will have errors in it. That's unavoidable. And handcuffing the police is not the solution. Reading from the top. The shooting with circumstances most similar to Taylor's killing is that of Alteria Woods, 21, who was killed March 19, 2017, when members of Indian River County Sheriff's Office SWAT team went to her boyfriend's family's home in Gifford, Florida, to conduct a search warrant for narcotics, according to an affidavit filed by the Sheriff's Office in court. The deputies said they identified themselves and began breaking the bedroom window, and Woods's boyfriend, Andrew Jeff Coffey IV, began shooting, the affidavit says. Deputies returned fire, striking and killing Woods, an unarmed black woman. Again, why is she in bed banging a known criminal? No, she doesn't deserve to be killed for that. And I know some feminists out there, if she hears me say that, says, oh, I'm blaming the victim, blah, 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 blah. No, I'm not. I'm telling her she's frickin' stupid to be involved with a dangerous criminal in the first place, okay? Let's carry on. Indian River County Sheriff Darrell Lohr told reporters at the time that Coffey knelt next to Woods, who was in bed, and fired at deputies. One deputy was shot in the shoulder. He used her for personal protection, Lohr said. So that's the kind of guy you're dealing with. What kind of woman gets involved with a guy like that? And then he stood behind her, knelt behind her, and shot at police, using her as a shield. Well, again, it comes back to the dumb, stupid, idiotic decision of a woman who is turned on by an aggressive thug. Okay, you got problems, lady, and all you ladies out there who don't pay attention to this, you're gonna have the same problems. And even if it doesn't happen to you literally, every single day you're with those thugs is a day when it could happen, either by police or a rival gang member or something. Look, ladies, you got to take responsibility. Don't bang dangerous thugs. It's really not very hard. And it's not very complicated. And all these places like Washington Post want to make these women out to be hapless victims who just happened by random chance to be in that situation. It's not random chance. It was a deliberate decision to put yourself next to a murderous, dangerous thug. Here's another example. India Kager, 28 years old, is also among the women killed when police said they were shooting at someone else. Duh. Of course, you go to a war zone, like I say, you might catch a stray bullet. Don't go to a war zone unless you're in the army and you're ordered to. Reading from the top. On September 5th, 2015, Virginia Beach police officers in two unmarked cars were surveilling 35-year-old Angelo Perry, the father of Kager's child. Police said Perry was a suspect in 2 homicides and a home invasion, and they believed he was on his way to kill a member of a rival drug gang. And this girl thought she was out there with a top dog, guy. A guy she can spend her relates with and open her legs and bang and pop out a new little thug for. Well, if you can tell in the tone of my voice, I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for such blatantly bad decision making, or she was thinking her friends are looking up to her because she's with one of the captain thugs. Who knows what's going through her mind? But there's no way on earth that she didn't know that her boyfriend was a thug, murderer, drug dealer. She knew full well, and she took the risk to go in and live in a war zone, and she took that bullet for that stupid decision. That's what's really going on here. Here she is, a nice-looking woman. I don't know if she's educated or not. I don't recall. She might be. She might not be. But here's a nice-looking woman, and she decided to go and hook her star to his star, hook herself to his star, his rising star, a petty, violent, murderous, thug, gang member, drug dealer. Now, a girl like that, even with a modest job, does not have to spend her life with a murderous thug. She chose to. So she was attracted to the war zone and the excitement of all that I'm a big boss thug nonsense. And she paid the price for it. I'm sorry, but that's a lesson in life, and she should be used as an example for other ladies in her neighborhood to say, that's a really, really bad decision, okay? I know none of those ladies are going to watch my channel, but in the odd chance that they do, look, don't be stupid like Krager there. Don't be that stupid. Don't hook your life up to a dangerous, murderous drug dealer, or you could get shot in the crossfire either of a rival gang or the police chasing down him. And quite honestly, you saw it coming. You should have saw it coming. Okay, let's move on a little bit here. The officers followed Perry, Kager, and their 4-month-old son as they drove into a 7-Eleven parking lot. The police cars pulled up behind Kager's Cadillac and blocking it in. Okay, so here you have it, folks. This woman was happy to be with this guy because he was bringing home the money. She didn't care that he was murdering people, dealing drugs. She didn't care that it might lead to the death of her own son. She chose this life full on with complete awareness. Let's read on. An officer threw a flashbang grenade toward the Cadillac to distract Perry. Virginia Beach Commonwealth attorney Colin Stoll later told reporters. 4 officers ran toward the car to arrest Perry, and he shot at them. He shot at them. Again, the unifying theme of these so-called victims is that they are shooting at police. They're shooting at police. That is a form of suicide. Let's read on. The officers fired 30 rounds in response, killing Perry and Kager. Police said the infant sitting in the back seat escaped injury by luck and good control by the police. They did not shoot randomly in the car. They were targeting their target as closely and as tightly as they could, and this child escaped. A nearby surveillance camera recorded the gun battle. Stoll concluded that the police shooting was justified. Look, how can anyone condemn someone for shooting back at someone that's shooting at them? Not just police. If somebody is shooting at you and you're armed, I mean, you're in a life and death situation. Self-defense, you should have every right to shoot back. Reading from the top. In 2018, a jury in a wrongful death civil suit filed by Kager's family determined the 2 of the officers acted with gross negligence and awarded the family $800,000. That is the reward for a life spent with a violent, murderous thug. Incredible, but they are rewarding people's decisions to be supported by and live off the avails of the violent criminal activity. And when they get caught in the crossfire, they're giving them even more money. We're incentivizing the very opposite of we should be incentivizing here. They should not be rewarded anything. That entire family, if anything, should be investigated for their own involvement in the same criminal activity. The city settled the case to give closure to Kager's family and to the officers, said Julie, a spokesperson for the city of Virginia Beach. Closure? Closure? She was involved with a murderous thug. She put herself at risk. The family can seek their own closure, if you ask me. Gina Best, Kager's mother, told the Post that her daughter and Perry were on their way back to Maryland from Virginia Beach, where they introduced their son to Perry's family that day. I don't care. What in the world does that have to do with being a violent, murderous drug dealer? So a violent, murderous drug dealer has a kid to introduce to their family. That has nothing to do with the case. It doesn't justify giving them further sympathy or attention. It doesn't justify rewarding their family with $800,000. Not in any of that. What about the people's lives that violent drug dealer murderer ruined? And those lives ruined that woman Kager profited from personally. And likely her extended family profited from personally. We are rewarding the exact wrong behavior. That's $800,000 more of criminal money given by coward politicians to thugs and criminals. Let's read from the top here. I'm going to expand that a little bit. Best said she sees parallels between her daughter's killing and Taylor's case. Both women were black. Police in both cases said they fired their weapons because a man shot first, and none of the officers involved in their shooting have been criminally charged. And they shouldn't be criminally charged because they conducted their police business to the exact rule of the police manual. What do you expect police to do? Are these people so moronic that they think they can shoot at police and the police are not going to shoot back? We're living in an age of absolutely unbridled stupidity. All of this has been ushered in by the feminist movement. They've turned all these thugs and criminals into victims. Look, this is not complicated. You shoot at the police, they shoot back. In fact, if you shoot at anybody, you better hope they're not armed, because they have every right and they should shoot back. How dumb is this culture getting? Incredible. And it's getting dumber by the hour. We can't count it in years anymore. We have to count it in hours and minutes at how the spread of stupidity is going. Here is, well, I don't know why that's really small to read here. But anyways, that's a picture of the article. I think I might have a better, yeah, here we go. Let's expand it up a little bit more. They're still saying Breonna's name, but they've forgotten India, Best said. They're still not saying her name. Well, so what? Are we supposed to grieve every person's stupid decision? This was a stupid decision to be involved with a dangerous drug dealer. Breonna, well, hers was a little bit more understandable case of errors played, but I can't fault the police for that. Breonna got involved with that dangerous guy and he used her and put her at risk. That's what dangerous people do. They put the people around them at risk. You associate with dangerous, murderous thugs, you're going to be at risk. That does not make you a hero. That does not make you a victim. It makes you stupid. It makes you very, very stupid. Reading from the top. Since 2015, I'm going to just say here, first of all, I say this because I hope that women listening, or women in general, somehow, some way through the grapevine, get the message that take accountability for your life. Don't be a dumbass, stupid idiot hanging around with murderous, dangerous thugs who will put your life at risk. It's that simple. Reading from the top. Since 2015, police have killed 26 armed women, including Taylor. Of those, 14 were white, 7 were black, 4 were Hispanic, and 1's race was unknown. While about twice as many white women were shot and killed as black women, white women account for 5 times the population. But black women hang around with dangerous thugs more often than white women do. They're putting themselves in danger. Now, I looked for the statistics on this exact thing, crimes related to black women and white women. And you know something? As I shouldn't be surprised, they're very hard to find. We can find crime breakdowns based on race. We can find it breakdowns based on various different things, age groups and whatnot. But you can't find a breakdown by women. Why? Because we don't want to think about women as criminals. This is a well-documented fact in our culture. In fact, considering the amount of thugs and murderers that these black women are hanging around, it's surprised that they aren't more of them killed than white women. But I could be wrong, because the statistics are hard to find, if not impossible. One example for the disproportionate numbers, because this article, okay, folks, they're trying to imply that the police are targeting black women, black over white in every situation, which they are not. They are not. They are targeting criminals. That's what their job is. That's what they do. They're trained. It's a very hard job. It's under stressful situations, and they make errors. But they're targeting criminals. They're not targeting color. But this is the impression that this Washington Post article is trying to put out here. They imply that the police target people based on skin color, and they don't. It's that simple. One explanation for the disproportionate numbers could be that socialists call the ecological fallacy, which means people, in this case police, act with generalizations in mind, even though they don't know whether it applies to the person they're dealing with, right? Crenshaw offered another reason for the disparities. Centuries of people associating dark skin with being a threat. No. The threat is a gun pointing at you and being shot at. The police respond to the threat level in front of them. The threat level. Generally, the police do not shoot unless they're shot at or their lives are at risk. They do make errors, but those are the exceptions because they are human beings. You don't need to have black people being more frequently arrested to have an implicit association with blackness and danger. That is a deep part of our culture. No, that's a lie. It's an excuse. This article offers nothing to back up these assertions. Nothing whatsoever. This is hand-waving excuse making going on here. In all of these cases, just about all of those cases, the 5,000 something cases of people being shot, there is a legitimate reason for them to be shot at by the police. The number of unarmed cases is very small, and in many cases, the police believed them to be armed, and there was an error made. But it's not based on the color of your skin. Killed at home, the article goes on. Of the 89 women killed at residences where they lived or often stayed, 12 encounters began, as did Taylor's, with a warrant to conduct a search or make an arrest in an investigation. Well, of course, because police are looking for criminals. Criminals have lived somewhere. They use a warrant and they go to search for stuff. That's how the criminal system works. That's how police investigation works. In 2 killings, police said they shot the woman by accident. Okay, that's quite possible. Again, it really comes down to why are you living in a war zone if you don't want to risk being shot at? In most of those cases, the women were armed or reaching for a weapon, police said. Well, there you have it. The women are armed and reaching for a weapon. Huh. Color me totally unsurprised. Reading from the top. The chance of police using force on a woman rapidly increases if the officer perceives she is not conforming to stereotypes of women as submissive and differential. Again, this is total nonsense that they're just hand waving. They're pulling this kind of rationale right out of the dark side of their butt. Especially if the woman is black or LGBTQ, said Andrea Ritchie. And no surprise here, Andrea is a researcher in residence at the Barnard Center for Research on Women. When you hear the words Center for Research on Women, you're hearing the words total dumb fuckery. That's what that is. Total, make up whatever you want. You don't have to support anything. We just print out what we want people to believe and we'll call it research. That's what feminist women's studies research is all about today. There's such a mountain of bigoted, hateful lies coming out of feminist studies and research on women that none of it can be believed anymore. And in this very article, they just pull this crap right here, right out of their asses. And they don't even try to justify it in the article. On January 17, 2018, police in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, killed 72-year-old Geraldine Townsend when they went to search her son's home for marijuana. Townsend, who was black, was sleeping inside of her son's home where she lived when officers conducted a knock and announce warrant and burst through the door, according to police records. Okay, so let's have a look at that. This article is trying to convince us that all of these things are preventable and that women are being targeted, specifically Black women, and that we should have protests included in the whole Black Lives Matter movement about this, okay? That's what they're trying to convince us. But if you'll notice through all of these cases, there is a reason for the police to shoot. And let's look at this one. I entered the hallway, stepping over Livingston, and started to hear loud popping sounds. I felt something hit my right leg and a sharp burning sensation in my thigh area, an officer later wrote in a report. He said he saw a woman on her knees behind a door frame 3 to 5 feet away holding a gun. He ordered her to drop it, but continued to hear popping noises, he said. This is the 78-year-old woman. That's my mother, Livingston yelled. At nearly the same moment, a shot rang out and Livingston screamed, "It's a BB gun. You killed my mother." Well, your mother's not very bright. I'm sorry your mother died. It's terrible. But you don't point a gun, much less shoot it, at a policeman who's conducting an arrest or at any time, anywhere, for any reason. The only reason to point a gun and shoot is if you're in self-defense and somebody is threatening your life, or you have very, very strong reason that they are threatening your life. You have to be in self-defense. That's not self-defense, lady. County District Attorney Kevin Buchanan determined the shooting was justified and declined the charge to trying to charge the officer with a crime. Good. But in this Black Lives Matter terrorist moment of our history, they want to charge every officer who in the line of duty has to shoot at someone. But look, I've never heard the Black Lives Matter people say, hey, community of friends, I'm concerned about your welfare. Don't shoot at cops. It's really a good idea not to shoot at cops, okay? Black Lives Matter doesn't say that. They say that nasty cop shot that person dead, never even mentioning that that cop was returning fire in a potentially life-threatening situation. We're not going to help people save people's lives by pretending that the cops are the ones doing the bad deeds here. There's the odd bad cop, that's true, but that's not the general rule. The general rule amongst the cops in Canada and the US is that they're very good people trying to do a difficult job, and some of them make mistakes sometimes. And the way to avoid being a statistic, again, really, really, really easy. Don't shoot at cops. Reading from the top. The matter of Miss Townsend choosing to produce a weapon and fire it at our officers I better expand this a little bit for you, really gave them, in my opinion, no choice but to return fire, said Rolls, who joined the department 9 months after the shooting. That is right. You're being shot at. You shoot at police. Lo and behold, the police shoot back. That's as simple as that. But in any case, the entire point of that entire article was to give the impression that we need to include women into this whole protesty movement here, this peaceful protesting to fuel the rioting and the killing and the thuggering and the looting of the Black Lives Matter movement. But when you read the details of these cases, no, not one of these people really truly deserves any of our sympathy. They made stupid decisions. They put themselves into a war zone, and now they got caught. They got caught in the crossfire. That's sad and tragic. But really what we should be doing and learning from all of this is say, don't go to the war zone if you don't want to get shot. That means stay away from violent, murderous thugs. Keep them out of your life. Keep them away from your kids. Don't fuck them, okay, girls? Don't be that stupid. Don't open your legs and bang the thug. You think it's exciting? Well, it's not so exciting getting shot. All right, that's all I got to say on that topic. If you folks want to bear with me a little bit more, I can go over and show you just the headlines of some of the other The other articles that I wanted to cover, but I just feel swamped with this stuff these days. But why don't I spend a few minutes? So those of you who are just here for this part of the show, that's over. That's all I'm going to talk about on that article. But right now I'm going to flash up these because it's really quick and easy. There's a dozen or so articles on the internet that are worth reading for one reason or another. So I'm going to put them right up over here right now. And let me start from this side over here. Why is that not? Oh, there it is here. That's not the, okay, here it is. Somehow it went down. Okay, this article talking about why New Yorkers' new anti-Karen law may backfire. And as I go through these, what I'll do is I'll just copy the links into the comment stream. If you're interested in them, you can have a look at these articles. I read it some time ago. I can't remember, but I remember it was worth reading enough to capture the link. So let's carry on to the next one here. What happened here? It seems to be disappearing. There we go. And this article from Glenn Beck. Woke capitalism and corporate socialism, or why American corporations are funding socialism. This is good. This is a good article, and I have some ideas on that I'm developing on why woke capitalism and corporate socialism, why American corporations are funding socialism. There's a lot to this. You could write books on this, I think, and the article is really worth reading. So here we go. There's that one in the comment stream for you. And this one from Forbes. This is different. This is a topic, I better put this on a bigger screen here. This topic is deep fakes. And I think the technology is out of the University of Montreal. And the reason why I think it is, did I not get that other stuff up here? I might have missed a link. Did it not go through? I think I missed that first link. I'm going to put it for you here again. There's that's the woke capital Karen thing. Deep fakes, I think it is generative antagonistic networking technology out of University of Montreal. They're getting to the point now where they can put any words into any person's mouth based off modifying any video they get of that person, and you can't tell the difference between it. This is going to make the reason I think this is important is that this put tools in the hands of these lefties like Soros and Bill Gates and some very powerful people who own the media to manipulate the people beyond belief, far more than even Orwell could have dreamt, because they can make anything sound real and look real and convincing. If we think it's difficult to determine the difference between fake news and real news today, in 10 years' time, it's going to be unreal. And we're going to have to prepare for this. And I've got some ideas on how to prepare for this because you won't be able to believe anything from any side of any debate because these technologies are becoming so good that they will be convincing. So we're going to have to find new ways to detect unrealistic claims and to know when we're being manipulated and lied to. And it's not going to be easy. Okay, another one here, and this is on the College Fix. And if you haven't subscribed to the College Fix, this is one of the best sites out there for stuff related to the universities. The university singles out white men with anti-racism pledge as feds investigate it for anti-male bias. It's well written and well worth the read. Let me put it to, whoopsie, I lost it there. Let me put the link in here for you if you're interested in the carryings on of the universities. And I submit that we all should be interested in what's going on at the universities, because at the universities is where all the leftists create all their lies. It's where all that, they call it intellectualism, but the universities haven't been intellectual for an awful long time. And they're training their little warriors, their feminist warriors, to go out and infect every area of our culture. And then they're referring back to these fake studies put out by women's studies departments to justify changing laws. And they're ramrodding these feminist laws down our throats regularly in the Western world. So we should be very concerned at what's going on in the universities, because it's going to tell us what's happening in what's going to happen in our culture 10 and 20 years down the road. Okay. This article, I forget what the website is, but this isn't an election, it's a hostage situation. Rioters and their Democratic enablers sound like husbands who beat their wives. If Trump didn't make us so mad, we wouldn't have to riot. How absurd. This is well written. I read it a week or so ago. I don't remember all the details of it, but I remember it was quite well written, worth the read. So here's that link for you. Now, what's this one here? I've lost the title. Here we go. NPR. This is unbelievable. I suspect all you guys have heard a little bit about this going on here. This author, and the name is like Vicky something, I can't remember, but it's a guy transgendered into a girl. He or she, or whatever your preference is, he wrote this article in defense of looting. And Janice tweeted on this as well a week or so ago. And this is well worth reading for the amount of twisting and turning and reversing and the special pleading and logical fallacies. It's unreal that the editors at NPR, that they could let this stuff get published in their website is unbelievable, because a school child should be able to see through the logical fallacies and twistings and turnings of deceit in this article. It is a exquisite example of sophistry, of special pleading, and logical fallacies. It's worth studying for that reason alone. Never mind the stupidity of suggesting that looting is somehow good for society. But that's the part of it. So have a look at that if you can stomach it. It is pretty nauseating, I have to say. USA Today. Now this one is interesting by the way that they pretend to have investigated this incident, and yet they didn't interview a single critic of BLM. They didn't show or even pay weight to the proof video of Kyle defending himself in self-defense. And they quoted only the Black Lives Matter supporters. It is the worst bit of journalism that, well, I can't say that because there's just way too much competition for bad journalism out there on the left today. But if you can stomach this one too, it's worth reading how convoluted the thinking is, how incompetent the journalism is, or deliberately deceitful the journalism is. It's really, literally unbelievable. Now, this, you've probably all heard of this as well. This is really worth reading. I think I've got two links on this. As you may have or may have not heard, and I've been talking about this since the very beginning of this coronavirus, the CDC came out a week ago and stated point blank that 94% of the COVID-19 deaths had contributing medical conditions. That means, and this is code for the fact that they didn't die of coronavirus. 94% of the deaths that are registered as COVID-19 coronavirus deaths are in fact people who died with the virus, not of the virus. And a huge percentage of them had 2 or 3 other life-threatening serious illnesses at the time of death. Only 6%, 6%, that's about 1 in 20. Only 6% of the deaths registered as COVID-19 stats are in fact died of COVID-19. Now, I've been telling this since the warning about this, ever since the CDC gave out their order back, I think in March or early April. that hospitals were to whenever possible, register cause of death as coronavirus. The only reason this has been going on this way, folks, is there's an agenda behind this. They needed to stir up enormous amounts of fear in the public's mind, and they succeeded. You can't trust these people. They're on the payrolls of the richest people in the world who want a one-world government. They are lying, deceitful, manipulative political agents. I'm sad to say that you have to be suspicious of the CDC as well. This, how many months later that they finally admit, it's shameful. Now I didn't post it here, but I don't have the link here, but I do have a link to the actual PDF downloadable file with the CDC's actual statistics on it. And if you go to their website, I believe they update this every week. And it was last week that they updated that little very important fact that in fact we all should have known, and I did talk about at the very beginning of this so-called, well, this scamdemic. Okay. Rutgers prof, University prof, Trump supporters have a desire for power at the expense of black people. Nonsense. I have another video or project I'm working on to talk about just what the difference is between Republicans and Democrats when it comes to views about racism, and why the Democratic Party is the party that attracts racists. It attracts horrible racists. And a lot of it comes down to the fact that those people are attracted to the Democratic Party because they see themselves, and this is important, I'm going to just expand this here. The people who are attracted to the Democratic Party, they see themselves as saviors of black people. They don't see black people as equals to them. They see themselves as the saviors. And this shares some, this shares a psychological space with the view that slave owners had of their slaves. The slave owners saw themselves as providers and protectors of their slaves. And Democrats see themselves as providers and protectors of black people. Now, they're not acting out in the same kind of racist manner, obviously, they can't today, but that is the mindset of a slave owner when you seek to be the protector and provider for. And he who protects and provides for someone else expects something in return, the least of which is gratitude, like you owe them. And those people are attracted to the Democrat Party, and the Democrat Party does not see black people as equals. The Republicans, on the other hand, they see each individual, this is a conservative mindset. The conservative mindset is that each individual should work for themselves and help themselves to provide. They have responsibilities for themselves and their families. Entry or acceptance into a conservative type of group generally is contingent upon the fact that you accept responsibility for yourself. You will be admitted into that group or considered a friend of people like that as long as you are the kind of person who contributes to society, who helps to build the world around you, who provides for yourself and your family, not by your skin color. Democrats admit people and categorize people by skin color. It is identity politics. They see themselves, they see black people, they see a black person that they can protect and provide for, and thereby be a savior. That is the slave owner mentality. They categorize them by their physical identity. Conservative minds categorize people on whether or not they are carrying their weight and taking up their own personal responsibilities in society. Republicans see black people as equals. They really judge people and admit into their friendship circles based on whether those people are willing to build their own lives, take responsibility for themselves. That's why, in most cases, racists are attracted to the Democrat Party. Anyways, I'm going to do a larger story, a larger project on that topic. It's kind of complicated to get in a short period of time in my mind. Let's go on to another article here. Breitbart. Watch BLM Sasha Johnson announces creation of the first Black-led political party in the UK. A Black-led political party. It's not just a Black-led political party. I think if you read down here, it is the Black Party. And you can only be a leader or a candidate in this party if you are Black. Now that is exactly what racism is. Racism is categorizing people and giving opportunities to people based on their race. So this is literally the equivalent of having the KKK party in the US. Imagine, well, they did have it, and they still kind of do. That's the Democrat Party. But here we have, in the US, literally the creation of an openly racist political party. Let me capture that in case I forget. If you want to read that, it's kind of interesting. And here, the blaze. Kenosha activist declares open season on white people. It's time for us to kill one of yours. You should watch this video. I think the link is in here. It's not the first time we've heard these sentiments coming from BLM. They really are suggesting that they should start killing white people. They've been suggesting that for a long time. And as I've said repeatedly, this is exactly the reason why feminists in the universities created concepts of white privilege and then white guilt and then finally just whiteness as being the biggest problem in the Western world. Whiteness. That is to give permission. It gives a face. Western culture doesn't have a face, but whiteness does. And these feminists fully intended from the beginning, first to attack men, then to attack white men in particular. And whiteness is now being promoted as the problem. This is to give permission to these kinds of activists to say things like, kill white people, which is what they're promoting. Here is the Center for Disease Control's, the comorbidities. This link will go directly to comorbidities, but if you go to the top of this link at this page, you'll see all of the CDC's statistics related to coronavirus, if you're interested in digging that stuff up. Now, here another article on Breitbart. Facebook declares Kyle Rittenhouse's actions mass murder and won't allow posts in support. Now, this is worth reading because I think there's a follow-up article to this. I don't think I actually caught the follow-up article link, but I'll look for that. The follow-up article shows that a bunch of, or maybe in this article too, where they talk about a number of sites, including Free Charlie Manson and a bunch of others, websites or pages on Facebook that are fully allowed, which are openly literal mass murders, convicted mass murderers, and those pages are allowed to sit on Facebook. Whereas this Kyle Rittenhouse's actions, mass murder, and they are deleting posts that support this guy who appears to have defended himself in self-defense, Kyle Rittenhouse. Facebook is quickly becoming extraordinarily censorial. And this has everything to do with the lead up to the election. And here, the college fix again. This is another disturbing trend on university campuses. Take a look at this. Black law students demand classroom diversity monitors to report questionable conduct. This is literally communist China in its worst period, where they had classroom monitors monitoring students' behaviors for diverging with the party line. Diversity is the feminist party line. You put classroom monitors in there and they will be monitoring anything. I keep saying this over and over again, that, surely can't get any worse. And I'll swear to God, before I end the sentence, somebody's proven me wrong. I can't even say that sentence could even last till its completion of speaking it. This is how quickly our world is degrading, how we've lost integrity, how we're being pushed by feminists and socialists and the BLM and the Antifa terrorists into full-on communist socialist territory. And we need to fight it. So, folks, that's all I've got for you today. So thank you very much for joining me here on Studio Brûlé. I may go over some of these articles in detail in a future coffee session. Some of them are quite interesting. I do recommend you read all of them if you're interested in them. If you want me to go over one particular article or in any kind of depth and research it a little more deeply, I'll consider that. If you just send me a message in the comments or somewhere like that, I'll have a look at your ideas. So thank you very much for joining me again on Studio Brûlé for Coffee with Steve. And as I like to say, end the sessions with, do something you love every single day. It's good for your mental health, even though you're being attacked on all sides and war is brewing and the culture is crumbling. It is your life here and now. If you like playing music or walking or fishing or whatever it is you love to do, do something you love every single day. And with that, I hope you join me again next time on Coffee with Steve. Ciao.